Howdy ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. So, at the end of the Canadian election, I stopped doing politics on my YouTube channel. Now, I made this choice for a couple of reasons. One, I was a new channel and I honestly wasn't getting any views. Now, doing a bit of research, there's a very good chance I had been shadow banned during the Canadian election because it seems like none of the channels that were critical of Carney got pushed through the algorithm on YouTube. And some of the channels that have, like I'm so small a channel that I don't matter, to be quite blunt about it. But some of the channels that had 1,000, 200,000, a million subscribers, they were reporting that they had subscribers contacting them saying, I was magically unsubscribed. I didn't unsubscribe, but they unsubscribed me. So, there was a lot of wonky things going on during the Canadian election. And when Mark's Carnage won, if you're at all informed, now I understand the left, they go out of their way to be uninformed. Carney and the UK, they together, they pushed through a censorship bill in the UK where they started arresting people that had spoken out against the government. They hadn't broken any laws because the UK has free speech like Canada, but Carney and the UK and all the WEF and all that group, they still push through a law. And, if you watch the news, you see these arrests are still going on. It's something right out of Minority Report movie where thought police, like precog, well, you might commit a crime, so we're just going to arrest you now. So once he won here, I was honestly terrified because he's spoken many times on bringing that policy into Canada. So I thought the better part of valor was to stop doing politics. And for the last 3 months, I've not done politics. But I have to speak out on this one. As some people know, I'm on disability, and what the Liberals are pulling right now to the disabled is absolutely freaking disgusting. But before I get into that whole story, here's a quick message. Hey all, just a quick mention here. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment on the videos you like. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, which helps me. Takes 2 seconds. So thanks in advance. All right, so what's going on? The Liberals came out with a policy that they're going to give you $200 extra a month to all disabled. Sounds great, right? The problem is they didn't notify anyone about it. Only 30% of the disabled out there actually got a letter telling them about this new policy. I personally found out about it from my neighbor because she happened to be one of the 30% that got a letter. Ironically, her roommate, who is also on disability, did not get a letter. So, there you go right there. That tells you everything. One person in the house got it. The other person didn't. They met in a hospital. They're both, I'm not going to go into that, but they're both on age here in Alberta, and they're on disability, both of them. So she got the letter. He didn't. I'm right next door to him. I'm on age. I didn't get the letter either. So right off the bat, there's warning bells going off. Okay. So she told me about this. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to go check this out. So I called my accountant. I said, my neighbor's telling me about this $200 a month benefit for disabled. He had absolutely no clue what I was talking about. None. Accountants had not been notified. Like, how do you bring out a policy that's actually dependent on you filing taxes and not inform the people that do the taxes? So again, warning bells are going off. So then I'm like, okay, well, he has no clue what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go to Service Canada. I'm just going to ask them. So I go into Service Canada and I ask them. Now they knew about it. They just didn't get any information about it. The Liberals gave them no information other than, there's a policy for $200 a month for disabled people. Okay, but how do we apply? What are their curriculum? What is the criteria? So we went on the computer and we brought up the, brought it up, and well, there was some information there. It was well hidden. Thank God I was in Service Canada, because they knew how to navigate the Canadian Service Canada website or the government website, because I would have never found it on my own. Literally would have never found it on my own. So they bring it up, and there's not a lot of information. And I mentioned to the girl that was helping me, I go, I've heard a rumor, again from my neighbor, that you have to apply in June or you won't qualify. And she's like, I've never heard that. But, if you're hearing that rumor, and based on the lack of information being handed out by the Liberals, I would suggest you apply in June. Okay, well, that wouldn't be a problem, except for one problem. The Liberals have this little thing called the disability tax credit. Now, if you're on disability, you most likely don't pay taxes federally. You pay the provincial taxes, you pay the GST, you pay the carbon tax, the industrial carbon tax, the bend over and take it up your ass tax, and whatever other tax they want to come up with. But you don't pay federal income tax because you literally don't make enough money yearly being on disability. So a tax credit is worthless to somebody that doesn't pay taxes. So I had applied for the tax credit a number of years ago, and the only reason I applied is to try to give my mother a little bit more tax break, because I could transfer my tax credit to her. It didn't help her at all. So I did it the 1 year, and I said, screw this, because I ended up paying $200 to the doctor to get him to fill out the forms. It's like, I'm paying $200 for a program I don't qualify for, and it doesn't help anyone. So why am I going to keep paying this? So I never filled it out again, because I don't qualify for a disability tax credit. I don't make enough money. And so the Liberals, when they brought in this program that they didn't tell anyone about, they tied it to the disability tax credit. So I guess from what I'm hearing, I'm far from the only person. The mass majority of disabled figured this out, and they stopped applying for it as well. And the Liberals love this tax credit, because it, every time they're in front of a camera, they go, oh, well, we got the tax credit, because they don't give any particulars about it. They just talk about, oh, we're so great, we give the disabled a tax credit. And Prime Minister Stephen Harper, he brought in a program that it wasn't a big help to the disabled either, but it was a help. Is the government would match any RRSP investments you made as a disabled person. So if you happen to have $500 left over at the end of the year, which is not very likely, but if you did, and you put it into an RRSP, the government would match that. Well, Justin Trudeau canceled that day one as soon as he took power. And he brought in this disability tax credit, which doesn't help anyone. So the dishonesty's been running for a lot of years. And then Carney has tied this new program to the disability tax credit. So, okay, I have to go and get disability tax credit. Okay, so I go online and I download the forms. It's 16 freaking pages. And I'm reading these forms and I'm going, they already have all this information. See, if you're on disability, every single year, the government contacts your doctors, and your doctors send in the forms to verify that you are still on disability, that you qualify for this. So all of the information they wanted in these 16 pages, they already have. So this is literally make work project that accomplishes absolutely nothing. So, okay, I have to fill this out, but unfortunately my doctor's on holidays, so I can't see him until September. So I was really frustrated, and I posted online, big long rant, just ranting about it. And a person replied saying, I went through this last year, and what I did is I contacted my MP. Thank God he was a conservative, and he walked me through this, and we got it all sorted out. I'm like, okay, great. My MP is a conservative as well. So I contacted Ziad. I'm not even going to try to say his last name. He's here in Edmonton. And let me just say, his staff, the woman I was dealing with, she was excellent. Absolutely. I've had to deal with a lot of government agencies, and 90% of the time, it's like pulling teeth or nails on a chalkboard. They fight you all the way. They don't give you the proper information. They don't help. They're public service bureaucrats for the most part. Ziad staff, they were excellent. Absolutely excellent. So she also didn't know anything about this. This is a running theme. The Liberals told nobody about this program. That's very evident now. Accountants don't know. Service Canada doesn't know. My doctor's office, I just talked to my doctor's office. They didn't even know, and an MP's office didn't know. But she said, I will do some research. Great. So she called me back the next day. And she goes, Andrew, I got bad news for you. I'm like, okay. There is the policy that you mentioned that I didn't know about, and that's great. But the Liberals have said that you have to have your application processed, not entered, but processed, finalized, approved by September 1st, or you don't qualify. I'm like, but they only announced this apparently on June 20th. So that leaves July, 10 days in June, July and August. So you're looking at 70 days to get this all done. Yep. Okay. And you have to apply for your disability tax credit first off, and that will take 30 to 120 days to be approved. Well, right there, I'm screwed. Like that's just moronic, So, and then once you're approved, you have to apply for the disability funds, and that will take 28 to 60 days. I'm like, okay, so if I had the disability tax credit already, I still, because I was talking to her on, I think it was the 7th of July, I was talking to her. If they took the 60 days, I'd still come up short. And she's like, yep. I'm like, how do you get away with this? Like, not talking about her, but how do they get away with this? Like, it seems to me they designed this entire program to not pay out. So they are turning this program into the disability tax credit, where it actually achieves nothing, but they get to pat themselves on their back and say, see, we gave disabled $200 more. Honestly, I was just going to wipe my hands right there and say, fuck it. I'm done. I can't meet the time frames, and there's nothing I can do. So I'm just going to go ahead. Then I got a letter from Aish, and Aish said, and I agree with this letter. I really do. So I'm not mad at Aish about this, but they said, it is your responsibility to get all the revenue sources that you can qualify for. So you have to apply for this benefit. And then starting in September, because Alberta pays over $1,900 a month combined between Aish and CPP a month, we will be deducting $200 off of your Aish benefit because you will be getting $200 on. So you're breaking even. And, that sucks. You would like to pocket the $200, but I understand why they do this, because Alberta pays the most for disabled in the country. Like when I was in Ontario, I was on ODSP and CPP. When I started, I was making $1,100 a month combined. And when I stopped, I was making $1,230 a month combined. That's it. The ODSP was only paying out $300 and some dollars a month, and the CPP was paying $800 a month, which is their minimum. So I'm like, okay, I have no problem with Alberta doing this because they're paying $1,900 a month. Like that, when I moved from Ontario to Alberta, I went up $700 a month in income. It's still well below the poverty line, but it's a lot better than what Ontario was. And one of the reasons I moved from Ontario when I did is I was not convinced that Toronto was not going to re-elect Kathleen Wynne yet again. And Kathleen Wynne had absolutely decimated the programs that the previous Harris government had put in to support disabled and seniors. So they didn't give you the money, but they had a lot of programs in there to support you. Like they gave you $200 for food extra a month. They had a homeowners, like if you needed a new roof or something or new windows, there was a program for disabled and seniors to get home repairs. Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty canceled all that, and they canceled a ton of other programs. So you really were left with, you're trying to live off of $1,200 a month. And I called them and I said, I own my own home, thankfully, because I don't know how I could live on this a month. Like, I don't see how you could do it. And their quote, this was the Liberals. Well, this was ODSP, but it was all Liberal hires. So you can bet it was only Liberal people. And the worker just said, that's not our problem. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So back to the topic at hand. So I didn't have a problem with Alberta taking the 200 because we're still going to be at just over 1,900 a month in benefits. But I had a problem that they were going to start taking it off before I could even get those benefits because of this insanely tight time frame that Carnage had put in. Like, this time frame tells me all I need to know is he doesn't want anyone on this program. He just wants to be able to brag about the program. So she gave me this news and I'm like, okay, well, I'll see what I can do. And I knew I couldn't see my doctor until September. So I called my rheumatologist specialist because I have an appointment with him in August, and said, I'm going to bring in some forms, and can Dr. M fill them out, because, this is my only option. So they got back to me today and they said, unfortunately, the doctor won't do that because we don't have the eye charts and everything you need to do for all of this forms. And again, all of this is already in my medical forms and the government has it. So they don't need these 16 pages of forms. So he just made he did it once for one person and the government declined that person because his office doesn't have everything to do the new testing. So he just doesn't do it. Okay, great. Not happy about it, but I understand it. Then the MP's office calls me again. Ziad's office calls me again. And she goes, did you watch the news today? I go, no, I didn't see the news. She goes, so apparently you're not the only one that's really frustrated with this. And there has been a massive countrywide backlash at the Liberals over this. So they have changed it. The applications no longer have to be processed by September 1st. They just have to be received by September 1st. I'm like, okay, I might be able to get that to work. But, make no mistake, this is still bullshit. This program should have been given 6 months to a year to be enacted, not 70 days. Because most disability people don't do the disability tax credit because, as I went over, there's no benefit and it costs some money. And it depends where you are. Like in Ontario, I couldn't afford $200 to pay a doctor for the disability tax credit that's going to do absolutely no good for me, So, yeah, so it's like, okay, well, I called my doctor. He's on holidays. But luckily, and this tells you even how much more of a scam this is I'm like, okay, well, what can I have another doctor do the exam? And they're like, well, you don't need a doctor to do these exams. What? Yeah, no, the nurse can do the exam. So I don't even need a medical professional, because the nurses there in the office are not real nurses. They're more like administration. They do minor things, but they're not doing medical procedures. They're just very minor. It's more administrative work than anything else. So it's like, so I don't even need the doctor. The nurse does this, submits it. Yeah, the only thing we need from the doctor is his signature. What the hell? Then why do we have to fill this out? And they couldn't answer that either. So again, brings me back to this is make work policy by the Liberals to, in my opinion, to discourage, frustrate, and aggravate disabled people. So they throw up their hands and say, screw it, I'm not doing it. That's all this is. It's another program by the Liberals designed to not pay out. And I fully admit I would have thrown up my hands and said screw it as well if Asia had not called me and told me, or contacted me and told me that they'll be deducting $200 a month, because it's up to me to apply for the $200 a month. So I have to apply for it. But the Liberals have made this as hard and frustrating and aggravating as they possibly can. And the other thing about the MP calling is she goes, you were my first phone call, but this past week, all the calls I'm getting are about this. So as people are finding out about this from their neighbors and co-workers and, like that, because again, 70% of the disabled people in Canada didn't get the frickin' letter. I honestly believe it was never sent out, because all my provincial letters come, no problem. They arrive like clockwork every month. My age stuff, everything, no problem. But the federal letter doesn't arrive? Oh, and my tax return from the federal government, like I didn't get any tax return because I don't pay taxes, but, it arrived in the mail, no problem. The only thing that didn't arrive was this mystical letter from the Carney government. So yeah, that letter never was sent, and nobody will ever convince me otherwise. So yeah, so that's where we sit is I have to go in and I have to get the nurse to fill out the forms. And then thankfully I have an excellent doctor. He is on holidays, but because of the number of calls they've been getting on this topic, he's going to come in one day of his holidays and just sign the forms for all the people that need this done, because the time constraint is so bloody stupid. It really is. Like I said, this should have been given 6 months to a year, not 70 days to be enacted. So he's going to sign it. I think, crossing fingers, but I think I can come in just under the wire. He signs it. They give me the confirmation code. I go to Service Canada. I give them the confirmation code. We fill out the form, and it doesn't have to be processed. It only has to be entered. So crossing fingers, I hope I can come in just under the time limit and get that in. But, this is ridiculous. And this is the government we have. They keep doing this shit on everything. We get no notice on this 200, but they had no problem passing 30% raise to themselves. Yeah, no, that was important, but disabled seniors, no, they're not important. We'll just let them go by the wayside. Now, the other part of this I want to talk about, because this is the part that really pisses me off. Like, I am livid over this. There's 3 things that I do not like that regard to this. One is the time frame that I've gone in depth in about now, and hopefully everyone understands that. 2, 5 years ago during COVID, when they were setting up to send out the COVID bucks, Justin Trudeau came out and he said, and Mark Carney was already advising Justin Trudeau at this time, so it was Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau. It wasn't just Trudeau saying this. Trudeau came out and said, the minimum amount to survive in Canada right now, 5 years ago, is $2,000 a month. You need $2,000 or more a month to survive. So why are seniors, like our lowest level for CPP is $800 a month? Why is it not $2,000 a month? It's out of Trudeau and Carney's own mouth. You need $2,000 a month to survive. So why is CPP, the basement level, not $2,000 a month? And why, since that was 5 years ago, has it not gone up to the rate of inflation? It should have been $2,000 a month plus the rate of inflation. I mean, that's just basic common sense. not immigrants, illegal immigrants get $3,000 to $4,500 a month. This has been, now I recently had a person try to challenge me on this. She's left wing, and it was just a case of her demanding sources because she's not interested in finding out about this. She thinks if she demands sources, that will end the conversation and put me in my place. So I wouldn't give her the sources. I have the sources. I wouldn't give her the sources because I'm sick of the left wing going, source. Fucking tired of it. So the sources, though, can be found on any mainstream media outlet, any alternative media outlet, all of them, and on Canada.ca website, if you can navigate it, because it's a nightmare to navigate, which I also think is intentional by the Liberals, by the way. It's an absolute nightmare to navigate. I would have never found anything if I hadn't gone into the Service Canada depot and had them do the search for me. But anyway, it's like, if illegal immigrants can get all the benefits I have and $3,000 to $4,500 a month, why can't Canadian citizens get that? I mean, come on. We were born here. I didn't ask to go on disability. I fought it tooth and nail. I don't want to be on disability. That's why I do my YouTube channel. I am hoping to one day get monetized and start bringing in even a bit of money to offset my disability. Like, I don't like not working. My entire life, I worked 12 to 16 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. I worked hard until I was forced onto disability. So why can I not get the same benefits as illegal aliens that skipped the line, didn't do the proper paperwork, came here illegally? Well, Liberal government, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Their priorities are so out of whack, it's ridiculous. So I'm pissed about that. It's like, let's forget the $3,000 to $4,500 because let's be honest, nobody should be getting that as a monthly wage for doing nothing. Okay. But $2,000 a month, that's out of Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney's mouth themselves. The minimum amount you need to live in Canada 5 years ago is $2,000 a month. So why are seniors on old age security, disabled on CPP, why are we not getting from the federal government $2,000 a month plus the rate of inflation each year? That's what should be happening. Or why are we not getting $1 over the poverty line? They set the poverty line. I didn't set the poverty line. Why am I living in poverty? Why are they not giving the minimum basic as $1 over the poverty line? Rather than sending billions and billions and billions and billions and billions overseas, how about we spend it on Canadians? Gee, what a concept. Real Canadians, people born here, people that immigrated here legally, properly. Like, I got no problem with immigrants, none at all, if they come in properly. If they're fully vetted, they come in, they embrace the Canadian culture, and they just want to live their lives, raise their families, and be good people. I applaud them. I have no problem with them. My problem is the illegal aliens that come in illegally. They should be getting nothing. They should not get a monthly wage. They should not get benefits. They should not get housing. If they want all that, they can go back to their own country and they can try to come in legally, properly. So anyway, that's the second one that drives me nuts. And the third part of this that drives me nuts is why is it so hush-hush? Like, I've said already why I think it's hush-hush. I don't think the Liberals ever plan to pay out to the mass majority of disabled. I think that's why only 30% of the disabled actually got this mystical letter. And I think those 30% only got it so the Liberals could claim they sent out letters and say, see, Joe Bob here got a letter. That proves it. I honestly do believe that, and yeah. So anyway, I am so disgusted with this government. I am so disgusted with them. They are criminals. They are corrupt as they come, and it's ridiculous. And yeah, So anyway, that's been my last 2 weeks. Sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Talking to government agencies and talking to people that don't know anything because a liberal government didn't bother to tell them anything. But hey, Mark Carney cares about the middle class and the low income. Oh yeah, sure he does. Yeah. So anyway, that's my Let's Talk video for this week. We need a new government. Simple as that. This government is corrupt. It's broken. We need an ethical, honest government in Canada, and it really comes down to that. And I don't know if that'll ever happen again, because I'm pretty sure, well, I shouldn't say I'm pretty sure. The Alberta is going to have a separatism vote in 2026. And right now the numbers are that close. Like, we're talking off by a point or two, contrary to what the propaganda mainstream media tries to tell people. They're full of crap. It's very close. And the more Carney attacks Alberta, the more that independence rise. Now, saying you're going to vote and doing it on the voting day are two separate things. We all know this, so I can't predict if Alberta is going to separate or not, but it's very close. And I would not be surprised if it passed. And that's on the Liberals. That is 100%. Well, that's 90% on the Liberals and 10% on Eastern Canada. Eastern Canada gave Western Canada the finger in the last election, middle finger in the last election. And now there's going to be pushback for it. Alberta is really close to having the votes to separate. Saskatchewan is really close and talking about it. Even BC, the only thing stopping BC is their idiot premier, Ebby, who's just as corrupt as the rest of the Liberals out there, even though he's NDP. But, and his numbers are nosediving in BC. And if BC got a new government, it's not out of the realm of possibility that BC jumped on board that separation. Like, make no mistake, Carney is destroying Canada. Carney and his Liberals and Jagmeet Singh, who's no longer in office, but he carries a big part of this. Him and Trudeau carry a big part of this. They very well may have destroyed Canada. And as somebody that up until recently, even during the Trudeau era, I hated Trudeau, but I still was proud to be Canadian. Right now, I can't really say that, because this government is so unethical, so corrupt, so disgusting. Anyway, that's my video for today. If you like the video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel. A like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders. And I do appreciate it. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage people to leave comments, especially on topics like this. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And the other reason is, by leaving a comment, it helps with the YouTube algorithm in getting more eyes onto my videos, which helps me. It's a selfish ask, but... And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.